Well, thanks for joining our afternoon training session today. Today, we're going to be going through iGyro portal, just going through the basics of how to create a job and just finding your way around the Gyro portal. So I'll run through that and show you the easiest way to get around all those different functions. And then we'll open up the floor. If you've got any questions or anything specific that I can answer for you, let me know, and we'll go through that as well. All right, so the first thing we're looking at here, I've just logged into the Gyro portal on the home screen, and we've got our thing here called the dashboard. And the dashboard is an individual list for you personally. So whoever's logged into the system, they'll have a different dashboard to the person sitting next to them, depending on who they are in the business and what tasks have been assigned to them. Kind of acts like a bit of a to-do list, letting you know when things are due or overdue or when something needs your attention. This one, for example, here is just letting us know that design round 2 was completed 20 days ago. And you can click through to that client just by clicking that link. Now, the dashboard only works because you're using tasks in the system. So we'll have a look at that in just a moment as well. All right, let's go through to jobs. So on our jobs module here, we've got a series of tabs across the top here or quick search buttons. And they categorize your jobs as they progress through the system, again, using tasks. So as you use your tasks, they'll progress from a prospect. So when you first create a client, they'll end up in this prospect section here. And then you can mark off a task to say a questionnaire is complete, and they'll move across to this section. You can mark them manually as an interested client and just give them a little bit of a push up through your workflow here. Obviously, once you sign a prelim for them, you'd like to move them on through here as well. Get through to contract signed and then onto site. There is a little tick box here which catches some people off guard. If you turn this button on, My Jobs Only, or Show My Jobs, it's only going to show you jobs in this list that you are assigned to. So if you're a business owner and you've got multiple people working for you or using the Service Hub, you might find that you may not be assigned yourself as a business contact on a job. And by ticking that, you won't see that job in this list. If you're, say, a designer, for example, though, and you turn that on, it's only going to show jobs that you're assigned to, and that'll just limit what you're looking at there. Most of the time, you're just going to leave that off. Alrighty, so let's just go through and we'll create a job to start with. So simple as that on your jobs tab here. I'll click that again, sitting on our prospect tab. It doesn't matter where you're sitting, we'll just create a new job. That button at the top right, and we'll type in a first and last name. As you type in the first and last name, it's building up the contractual name for you. Now, this can get changed later, so that's fine. But what you might find is you've probably got a husband and wife that you're building a home for. You will generally try and type their full details into here as well. All right, but only one person goes into this first and last name field. So we'll save that one. Straight away, we've got a job here for us. And while we're talking about the husband and wife duo here, we'll quickly just jump to the client tab just to explain that a little bit further. So when we created the job, we typed in a first and last name. It's created a person for us on this client tab. And all of these details here are in relation to just that person. All right, so if you type an email in, that's in relation just to this owner here, test demo. So if you make a change, you can add to save or hit the save button to save to the database. Clicking the plus button at the top right-hand corner, you can add that second party to this job. Right, and that person will have their own contact details here. Alrighty, we've got some options here to set the primary contact. So generally when you're communicating and you're doing mail merges and emails and things, you need a primary contact, the person that will receive the communication. And you can set that person just by ticking this button here, or the option button. Click save there. Righty, probably the only tricky thing on this screen is the addresses. So you don't type straight into here. We can click on that button there. It'll pop up the address details and you can type in. Oops. We'll just hit save on that one. All right, that's updated our address there. Something else that you may have noticed there as well, there's a button that says copy site address. So we haven't actually added the site address. That's not going to be real helpful to us at this point. Come back to that in just a second. So we have skipped past this job details tab, so we'll shoot back to that one. Now, you can set up this job number as early as you like. You can create a job and then just hit that generate button. Some people like to wait until they've received some money, so like a prelim service fee paid from that client. Other people like to jump straight in and create a job number for it. So if you're beginning to do work for someone, even if it's before they've paid something, like you might be doing some sort of prelim pricing, good idea to have a job number so you can find that job easily and communicate that with your team. Click generate. It'll just auto increment a job number based on what you've got in your system there. Alrighty, here's the site address similar to the contact or the client contact details we looked at. We've got a dot, dot, dot button. We can fill out address details. All right, we'll save that and that will show up straight away there. Alrighty, some of these things are pretty self-explanatory, number of dwellings, job type. So majority of the time, we're probably going to be building new homes. You can choose that here, but there are other types in here as well. New homes, renovation, spec home, director's home. Now, in a franchise group, like Integrity, you'll find that you can, all these values here, the job type will have an impact on what sort of royalties you might pay. So new home, you've got one set of royalties, renovations different, spec homes and director's homes attract different royalty fees. All right, so if you set that, that'll just remind everybody that's using this job what sort of job this is. All right, design type. So from this drop-down list here, we've got access to all of our standard designs, and we can just quickly do a quick search for any of those. I'm just going to look for a presence, and I'll pick one of those. Save that one. All right, there's just a little flag here to say that it's modified. So a lot of the time you might just pick a design off the shelf for a client and they use that as is without any changes. If there's something that's a substantial modification, your designer will just tick that button just to let everyone know that this design has been modified. So you might tick that through the job as it progresses through your design stages. House and land here is a bit of an advanced topic here. We've got some other videos around that, but essentially you can turn this job into a house and land package. Click this button and we've got a heap of details here that you'd fill out to create a house and land package that can be marketed online through domain as well as your website. Okay, latitude and longitude here, you can just go through and you can specify latitude and longitude. Again, just good so that you can locate a job and show other people exactly where a job is on a map. So by clicking on this Google Maps button, once you've assigned your lat and long, that'll open up a Google Maps for you, show you where that job is. Similarly in ArchiStar, so we've got an ArchiStar subscription. If you've set your latitude and longitude, click on that Open in ArchiStar button, they'll take you straight to that block of land in ArchiStar. This is an important one here, this locality. So again, this works better once you've got a latitude and longitude set up in here because it'll give you the closest weather station to your job. Otherwise, you can just pick a locality from here if you know exactly what station you'd like to use. And the reason why we set this weather station up is because we've got some automations here that keep track of your adverse weather. So if there's greater than 5 mil worth of rain on a site on a day, it'll claim that as a wet weather day, and you can inform the client with a mail merge that you were unable to work and it's not classed as a working day. Right. So just in relation to that, we've got our contract period. So you might find you've got a number of working days on your contract. And when you start building, you've only got that many days to build that home. Otherwise, you're due some liquidated damages. And the adverse weather can sort of offset these days, so you're not ticking up as quickly to those days. All right, consent authority. So we can choose who's the consent authority for this particular job. So you may build in a region where you've got multiple consent authorities that you can pick from. So you can choose from this list. Now, this is specific to your own database, so you can set this up and configure it. And when you're using iProx to create some estimates for clients, this consent authority can have different loadings as well. So the loadings affect the pricing. So one consent authority region might attract a higher loading, one a lower loading, and that helps you adjust your pricing for those different regions. So we can just select consent authority and a person that works at that consent authority. Now, I might just go on a quick tangent here. So if you wanted to create your own consent authorities, we're going to go into the business contacts. So I'll just open that up in a new tab by right-clicking. We'll go to business contacts. And this is a list just for your database. So you can do what you like in here. Try and keep your ABN numbers up to date and that sort of thing, because it'll help your accounting later. If you wanted to create a consent authority, click on this new button, click on new company. Type the name of your consent authority or council. Ideally, you'd have the ABN number available and put that in as well. And we'll create that company. So consent authority is just a company like everything else you've got listed in your business contacts here. But we do want to select this industry type here and make sure they're set as a consent authority. Okay, and being a consent authority, you can also set that consent authority loading. So most of the time you're going to set that to 1. But if you wanted to go for your pricing, if you want to put some loading onto your pricing in iProx, we can increase that loading to say 1.2, which is 20% higher than your base loading. All right, so we've got some other advanced topics that go through pricing and iProx and how this loading works. But if you're creating your own consent authority, that's how you do it. Into business contacts, create a company, ensure you've got the industry set, and choose your loading from here. All right, we'll shoot back into this job now. Already, some of these are more advanced features too, but mail merge is quite important and something you'll use quite regularly. So we'll click into mail merge, and we've got a series of merges separated into groups here. Easiest way to find what you're looking for is just doing a filter at the top here. So we've got a lot of these letters, for example. These are regularly used, these letters 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For some reason, I don't know where 1 is. It's moved into a different group. It's possible we're just doing some work on those at the moment. But if you do a search at the top, letter 00, and we've got a list of all these mail merges. So we want the New South Wales Prelim Services Agreement. Click on that one. It's going to download a Word document for us, and it's merged in all the information that we've typed in so far on this job. All right, so it's got your business details, the owner details. If we typed in the address details, they'd be in there as well. All right, but a pre-formatted letter, which you can go through in edit and modify to suit your circumstance. A few things we should look at is your bank details as well. So company details and bank details. All right, so the host of different mail merges and they all work the same. Click on that link, it'll generate one for you and you can modify it. There was some things in there like your company details, address details, phone numbers that you would like to or you will need to set. So if we open up business contacts again, and you'd find your own business name in your company list here. So this database I'm in, the company is iGyro demo, and I've typed that search in. It looks like we've got 3 companies with the same name, but this list is company name and employees. So it's really an employee list more than a company list. All right, so any one of these is showing the same details here. If you want to edit the individual employee, you click onto that tab, and those details are employee details over here. All right, for your company, you're going to change your details here. So your ABN, your address details, all this information will help drive what's turning up on your mail merge documents. So fill that out as best you can. I'm jumping around a bit just because we're talking about mail merges here. I'm just going to go into group settings under admin. And there's some other details here for mail merge contacts. So different mail merges are signed off by different people in your business. So you might have a client relations or a managing director, accounts manager, and depending on the nature of the letter, the signature at the bottom will be from a different person, and you can change that person from this list. So in this case, if we're sending out information to a client, a lot of letters come from the client relations person. Whoever you set here will be merged into that merge document. All right, bank details are similar. So you notice in that prelim services agreement, it had your bank details for the client to pay money into your bank account. Make sure you get that right in here and that will merge perfectly for you into every mail merge that you generate that requires that bank detail. All right, back to the job details. And we've gone through the client tab. All right, as you're working through your jobs, you will assign documents, attachments to this job for safekeeping. Keeping them in here rather than a file system, rather than Dropbox or anything else that you've got, keeps them assigned to this job and it ensures that everyone that's working on your job can access those attachments. A couple of special folders like this photos client facing folder. When we enable the client portal, the clients will be able to see the photos in this section here. So make sure they're appropriate for clients. So don't be taking pictures of damaged equipment or anything in there. This photos folder is fine. The clients won't see that one. Now, a few ways you can add some files into here. So any files work. You can do video files if you need to, Word documents, PDFs, images, and you can just click select files and locate them on your file system to upload. Or like this one, I've got a series of photos here. We can just drag and drop them in. Just going to move that off screen so you can see what that looks like. Dragging and dropping those photos in. All right, they're all uploaded for us. And one thing that some people find it difficult to find is this little button here. There's an image button. So if you're looking for an easy way to see your photos rather than downloading each one to try and find out what they are, you can click on that image button there and that will load up some thumbnails for you. And if you click on that, you get a bit of an image gallery. And oops, you can just use your arrow keys on your keyboard just to flick through them. All right, if you're putting photos into this client-facing folder for clients, that's great for them too. They'll get a similar experience when they look at the Photos tab. So I'll just pop a couple into there. Okay, so this Photos tab here is really just a shortcut into that folder we saw in the Attachments tab there, but the clients have access to this one and they'll get that similar experience. with that gallery view. Okay, tasks. So we started off this session looking at our home screen that had the dashboard that's individualized to every person. That dashboard is driven from tasks in here. So when you first create a job, you've got the first contact and it shows just a single task. From the top right-hand corner, you've got some options for some more tasks. So we've got a heap in there that you could possibly use. But one of the first important tasks you're going to find is prelim service fee paid. So if I click on that one, okay, when you receipt some money from a client, you'll pop that task in. And we've got a series of tasks that get triggered from this one, from that task that was just completed. So clients are paid a prelim. Generally, then you'd go through and you'd request a wind rating, preliminary engineering, and a contour survey. So it's popped due dates in for all of those. And these due dates are what will fire off into your dashboard, but also via emails as well. So we have had a session which we've recorded previously about setting up your notification rules on who you should notify for each of these things. So if you're a small business, you might find a lot of these things rest on your own shoulders to do. As you grow your team, you might delegate those out to other people, and you can set up the notifications to tell the right person at the right time to complete a task. Now, as you work through these tasks, like this request win rating, for example, you can use a shortcut T for today to mark off that task date as complete. I'll tab out of that one. Okay, you might have noticed there it's popped in this wind rating received. So completed the date for request wind rating. It's now popped up and said wind rating should be received by this date. So again, that's purely for notifications to sit on your dashboard to remind you that you're waiting on that wind rating. Once you receive it, you'd file it away in the attachments and mark it off as complete. Okay, if there was anything else in line with that, that'd fire off another task as well. Again, similarly with these ones, request contour survey, you'll mark that off. It's got a task in here with another due date, contour survey received. Right, home design order form upload. Okay, so when you're working with a designer, generally you'd fill out a home design order form and you can just file that away in the attachments there. So quickly look at that attachments tab. There's a folder in here for home design order form. You can place that into here for your designers to find. And we'll go back one step further again, and you'll find in your mail merges, there's a document called home design order form that you can generate to fill out. I'll click on that one. And that's what home design order form looks like. And essentially it's a series of questions, enough to give your designer enough to go on to start doing your first round of designing. All right, so once you've completed your home design order form and uploaded that, you'd mark off that task. When that's happened, there's an automatic task that's hopped in or popped in here to request a first round design from your designer with a due date with the design round to actually be completed. So some of these tasks you'll find that you will mark them off yourself. Some you'll find other people will, like the designer. So I'll mark that one off. All right, that'll continue through. So once that's finished, you'll get a notification, or your salesperson will get a notification to let you know that design round has been completed. And then you've got options to proceed through, proceed to contract, for example. All right, it's just a series of marking off these tasks. All right, that's a very quick overview of how those tasks work there. All right, site schedule. So this is what your project managers would use. Okay, we've started or recently started using Gantt charts, and you can set up your own templates. So To start with, you may just like to apply all tasks, which is all of your site tasks, and just essentially gives you a blank slate to work with all of these site tasks, slab down, roof on, lock up, for example. And you can go ahead and start using this Gantt chart. Just bringing my way there. Okay, so you can start setting up dependencies for each of these tasks as well, so that when you move them, they all move together. Not doing very well with my mouse today. All right, if you struggle like I have just now trying to grab these tiny little scroll bars and things, you can double click on these tasks to pop up a window, and you can change things like the duration and the progress of all of these tasks in here. So again, I won't go into too much detail on this site schedule. We've got full videos around this. All right, contacts. So we were talking about the tasks tab before and how you can assign notifications and let the right people in your business know about tasks that are coming up that they need to achieve. You also need to make sure that you've assigned the right people in this contacts tab. All right, so if you want to assign a designer, this one's got a default designer in it, but we'll just remove him for now. So to add someone in here, like a designer, we'll click on Add Contact, find the person's name, and you'll choose a role. And in this case, we'll choose the designer role. Similarly, we can add, say, a project manager. All right, now these roles, these contacts can be set up again. So I'm going to jump back out to our settings. So admin group settings, and they can all be set up in here. So good idea if you've got a standard list of people that will always perform the same roles in your business to jump into here. So we'll go through and we'll add some default contacts into here. So in this case, we've got contract administrator Shane, designer is Shane, the sales consultant is Tim.demo. All right, so whenever you create a job, these people will be automatically assigned on that contacts tab. Otherwise, you can just, on the job, you can come back in here and make adjustments as you need. Okay, management tab. Just going to quickly pop in our contract price. So once you've got your pricing ready, you'll have a price in here. Just save that. Righty, so we've got our original contract price. So all these figures in here just help you run your job and understand financially how this job's tracking. So there's some fields in here that are grayed out, which they're just automatically calculated, these fields. There's other things that you can manually modify. So this is really a retrospective check so that you can go through and compare, say, your costs of your job or your expected costs at an early stage compared to when the job is finished. This one, for example, is when you've completed your orders, you're just about to start your job, you would know what your estimator is or your bill of quantities value. You would type that in, it will let you know you're going to have a gross margin of 19%. Okay, and you can compare that against your actual figures when your job's finished as well. Right, so we do have zero integration so that when you're using the invoicing module, these actual costs will be pulled from that invoicing module and give you gross margins to compare against. So I'm just giving you an overview of what's happening on all of these different tabs, just so that you know if you think you'd like to look more or further into it, because we've got videos that go through each of those major modules. All right, this one is like variations. So when you've got variations to jobs, you're just going to add a new variation and click on the button there to, oh, that duplicated. That was a copy variation. It's a line items button, and we can go through and create this variation. And you add line items to that variation and put your descriptions into these by double clicking. Okay, we've got our financial tab here. So this is your progress payment schedule. So again, you'd set this up pretty early on around the time that you're setting up your contract, just so you can keep an eye on your progress payments. And generally we have a lot of, or we've got some system templates you can use. So there's a few there for future use, but we'll just pick the first one here, just a low set progress payment. We click apply on that one. Okay, that's given us a basic progress payment schedule here. Right, so this is based on your site schedule. So when your project managers mark off these tasks in the site schedule, if they complete, say, roof on, for example, it'll pop in a claim date, a due claim date into here, letting your bookkeeper know that they should claim that progress claim. Your bookkeeper will mark off to say the claim is complete, and it'll just give you reminders for the payment being due. And again, your bookkeeper will mark off once that payment has been paid by the client. All right, so that all helps drive some reporting as well. So we had a look at the management tab before that had some gross margins. We've also got some good reports around that gross margins that also link into your progress payments and give you an idea of how much money is left to come in for a job. Communication, good idea to get into a habit here of always adding contacted client notes. All right, so if you have a phone call with a client, you'd mark it down in as much detail as you can, pop that into here. That way you've got a record of it, and so does everyone else in your business. They can see that you've spoken to the client about some particular case. All right, easy just to add another one, as many as you like. And another thing people do like to do is if they've emailed a client, you can copy and paste the content straight into one of these contacted client notes. And then again, that's available for everyone to see. There's some other options in here as well. So if you've got some internal notes, internal communication, for example, you can just leave a note for a designer if you need to. Actually, there was a better note for that. There's a designer note we should use for that purpose. So add a designer note, and you can leave a note for the designer. As much detail in as you can. All right, keeps all your communications in one place. Maintenance, fairly similar to the communication tab, just allows you to keep track of your maintenance. So if a client calls in, you can keep track of these things and work out who you've assigned those tasks to. So the client might have, say, a leaking roof. And you put as much detail in as you can. It's going to give you a due date, just let you know when that should be completed by. If we click on that, we can open it up and assign that to a particular business contact. So if you've rung a roofer, I don't know whether we've got any in this database or not. Roofing and plumbing, that sounds pretty good. All right, so I've chosen a business contact here. So if you've contacted them, a good idea to record their name here, and then you know who you contacted about that particular problem. Alrighty, iProx. So most of you will be familiar with the iGyro desktop. At this point, the iProx is still only available on the desktop. Coming to the portal soon, so watch this space. So at the moment in the portal, after you've completed an iProx in the desktop software, you can just generate a sales estimate straight from here if there was one available in this list. Okay, the estimator tab here. This is our full-featured bill of quantities tool in the software. So again, this is a very advanced topic. We've got lots of videos around how to use this, but this is where you make your bill of quantities and purchase orders. Okay, the orders tab here goes hand in hand with the estimator tab. So generally you'd create a bill of quantities and purchase orders inside the estimator, which should end up in this orders tab. But you can create manual purchase orders as well. So let's just say on your phone, you can do this on your mobile phone as well. You turn up to Bunnings and you needed to purchase something from Bunnings that wasn't part of your original order set. You can create a manual PO. Okay, choose the company that it's for. Hopefully choose your cost center that it's for as well. You can pick a category for it's kind of like a reason you can use reporting later to find out, why you've got so many manual purchase orders and they weren't allocated up front in your estimator. So for example, it might have been an estimating error, didn't allow enough for some sort of timber. So you can set up a purchase order for Bunnings for $500 for extra timber. Save that one. Okay, it gives you an order straight away and it's popped up and asked whether you want to email this to that supplier. So it knows who Bunnings is. It's going to, actually looks like in our business contacts, I've got 2 email addresses for that. That's why there's 2 here. But essentially you can just send that off and Bunnings would have a copy of your manual purchase order. I won't do that at this point. All right, emails, again, if we set that purchase order, that would also end up in here. This is just a history of all your emails that you've sent from the Gyro software for this particular job. You can manually create an email from here as well. Okay, and address that to whoever you like. And it's got your signature and everything that goes along with that. Probably an underused feature here is attaching files. So if we click on this one, okay, it gives you a search box here. So we can search for files inside the attachments tab. Okay, so just search for the word photo and it's given us all those options. So these are the files that we drag and dropped in earlier in this session. So I'm going to click one of those. Pick another one. All right, and I'll click insert and they're inserted as links into this email. All right, so this gets around a few things. So it's not sending out large attachments. So you may find some suppliers that are using old systems, they have limitations where they might only accept an attachment worth 5 megabytes. Lots of the times you'll find our plans are maybe 10 or 15 or 20 megabytes. And using these links gets around that problem. All right, so I've basically gone through quickly how to set up business contacts, but also what each of these tabs does on a single job. So that's all I've got really scheduled for today. So I'll open the floor up for any questions. It looks like we've got Chad that might have a question straight away. So I'll see if I can unmute you there, Chad. And Chad, I've just allowed your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I've got you, Chad.
All right, wonderful. I think it was very much of my interest. The whole thing has just been, the whole landscape has been browsed through, which is really nice. In the task tab, there were 2 things. One, you said that the, excuse me, say for a designer can put the completion date. So my question is, do these people, when we're creating like a designer or a project manager or somebody stakeholder in the in that job itself, do they have access rights, or do they actually log in using the same credentials as me?
No, so they'll have their own. So essentially, like in our franchise group, um, you'll start off with you're the only person in your database that can have access. And if you decide to use the Service Hub, we'll have the Service Hub members that are allowed access to that database. So they'll have their own login, their own credentials with access to work on your tasks there.
Right. And if somebody else from outside becomes a designer tomorrow, will they have access as well?
Yeah, so if you decide you're not using the Service Hub and you need like a local designer, you would just request a username for your database for that person. So
And
just
that'll
let
be
us
through
know.
yourself, China.
We'll create a brand. Yeah, that's right. Shino and I can organize a brand new login for you to provide to them.
Awesome. Number two, just a request here because we've got quite a bit of real estate on this interface. When we're talking about say task and we're talking about the win rating received,
Mhm.
if I can have somewhere where I know thinking about putting the win rating report in the attachments there. If there's a reference here as well, which falls in front of this, and I can click and go straight into it instead of hopping between the two, it might just be helpful.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We've got some things that are happening soon around allowing photos in. So, you might be
Okay.
doing, on-site type task and attach photos to that particular task.
Yeah.
So yeah, so attaching win ratings as a link through here wouldn't be a far stretch as well.
Yeah, anything like engineering drawing or a survey or anything which is there. If a report can have just link here itself, it just quickly get me there where I want to see in line with the comments. So that was just a suggestion. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yep, wonderful. Yeah, so it's not in here at the moment, but yeah, certainly open to those suggestions to try and build that sort of thing in.
That was it for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Chad. All right, we've got Ash there. I'll just allow your mic, Ash.
How you
Okay.
doing, mate?
Good, Ash. How are you?
Good, good. Now, Glenn showed me this a couple of days ago, but or a couple of weeks ago, but I've forgotten where to find it. He said that there's a live tracking for the job costs.
Yep,
Yeah, like the projected money to come in compared to what's gone out. I
that's right. Yep. So
believe it
this
was. Yeah.
this management tab that we're looking at here.
Yep.
Uh, so I briefly sort of spoke about these few things here, but I think you're looking at the actual job costs.
Yep.
So this is the trading income is probably the live thing that you're talking about.
Yep.
Um, or trading income and actual costs. So both of those are pulled in from Xero. So as you're syncing your invoices into Xero,
Yep.
uh, essentially Xero is your accounting point of the truth, system of the truth. So
Yep.
we use that information from Xero. So your actual cost is the figure from Xero against that job,
Yep.
but also your trading income is the money that you've received from that client. All right,
Okay.
so those will go up and down based on what's happening in your Xero account.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And that variance from anticipated, that will continuously update as it's going through.
That's right. Yep. So at the moment,
Yeah,
our
gotcha.
gross margin's 100% because we've got no figures in here.
Yeah.
But yes, when those figures become populated, this will
Yep.
change. I'll see if I can quickly pull up a job that might show that a little bit. Oh, this one doesn't really have that either, but it's got some actual costs there. But yeah, so all these figures are live in here.
Yep.
Now, we didn't go through this today, but in the reports, I did make mention of this gross margin report. And this one will be useful for you as well. In that if you're using the accounting module, this will show all of those figures. So essentially all of these figures here in your actual costs will be showing
Okay.
up in that report. Useful if you've got 5, 6, 7
Yes.
jobs that you'd like to see what's happening and what the gross margins are for them.
Oh,
So
sure. And it gives you a total there at the bottom too. I see. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
it gives you the
Yeah,
totals.
cool.
So useful for historical jobs to see what your gross margins were at particular points in time.
Yeah.
But also lets you know how your current jobs that are actually on site are performing, whether
Yes.
they're, you've received more money from the client than what you spent or the other way around.
Yeah.
Lets you know how many claims are remaining still,
Yep.
and even what your expected bills are. what the remaining
Yes.
bills might be.
Right. When you say remaining bills, they're the ones that are sitting in Xero.
Sorry,
Invoices
no,
sent or
they
orders?
are your orders. So
Orders. Yep.
as you're progressing through, you receive invoices into your invoicing module.
Yep.
It assigns those invoices onto your orders here.
Yep.
So you know what the variance is between the order amount you're expecting
Yep.
versus what you've been invoiced, and that report will show that for you live.
Gotcha. Right.
So
Cool.
for an individual job, you can see it here. You can just log in and you can see
Yes.
sort of what's expected. But if you're looking at all of your jobs across the board, you can use that report.
No, brilliant. Yeah, right. Cool.
You can raise your hand if you've got any questions, anyone? Looks like we've covered everything today. All right, today was a bit of a mixed bag, but thanks for joining, everyone. If there's anything else after this session, please let me know and I'll get back to you individually. All right, thank you for joining.